magic word. Here in the secret kindergarten, the world's best show for kids is starting. The Secret Kindergarten Radio Show. Use your ears and your imagination. We're going to play, we're having fun. The Magic Secret Kindergarten on the Revolution Radio Station.
Welcome back to the Secret Kindergarten. I'm your host, Gino. And let's have a little lesson. Can a stone or plant think? Yes. Stones or plants think in their own way. A stone is made up of tiny atoms whirring rapidly, and that motion is life. And life is the self. The atoms of the stone think in motion. And plants grow from seeds. Growing is their way of thinking. They also have blood and nerves that show how much more they can think than stones. Do animals think the way we think? No. An animal sees and does more than a plant does. But it cannot say, "This is a plant and I am an animal." It does not know the difference. A man can say, "I am a man. That is an animal. This is a beautiful plant." A man thinks the most and sees all the differences between himself and other living things. He knows he is thinking. We can help a plant by giving it water when it is thirsty, by loosening the soil around its roots. We can help an animal by being kind to it and taking good care of it. We can help a stone by using it only in a good way. To use it to throw, to hurt a person or an animal or a plant would hurt the stone. It would hurt us most of all. But because the same life in us is in the stone and animal and plant, we would harm all those other lives too. Because we are brothers and sisters to all that live, and everything we see is alive in some way. Animals and plants know this too. For instance, ants are fed by the juicy leaves of a certain plant, and they, in return, keep away other ants which would destroy the leaves. Other plants, without this juice to offer for the food of the beings, are eaten by the destructive ants. And then there is a story of a little bird dying of thirst beside a pool of water too low for it to reach. A dog passing came to help by rolling small stones into the pool until the level of water was raised so that the bird could reach it. Okay, let's listen to some music.
When the seeds are in the ground, crawling, creeping bugs are found. Bugs go up and bugs go down when the seeds are in the ground. When the pretty flowers grow, bugs will come and bugs will go. Butterflies have wings to show when the pretty flowers grow. When the sun begins to shine, flowers grow upon their vines. All the bugs are feeling fine when the sun begins to shine.
Listen to the rhythm of the rocks. What would they say if they could talk? So many years down under the ground. Listen to the sound, listen to the sound. Oh, we sana sana, oh, we sana sa. 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 Find me a rock that's smooth and round. Find me a rock down under the ground. Find me a rock that I can pound. Listen to the sound, listen to the sound. Oh, we sana sana, oh, we sana sa. Oh, we sana sana, oh, we sana sa. Oh, we sana sana, oh, we sana sa. Oh, we sana sana, oh, we sana sa.
Who are you? The owl seems to say. Who are you? He's asking every day. Owl, I have some questions for you. Where do you live and why do you who? What do you eat and when do you sleep? Yes, I have questions too. Who are you? Who are you? Owl, I have some questions for you. Where do you live and why do you who? What do you eat and when do you sleep? Yes, I have questions too. Who are you? Yes, I have questions too.
I'm going to read you a story called Urban Roosts, Where Birds Nest in the City, by Barbara Bash. Early in the morning, you can hear something rustling up on the ledge of an old stone building. Even before the city awakens, the birds are stirring in their urban roosts. All across the country, as their natural habitats have been destroyed, birds have moved to town. The ones that have been able to adapt are thriving in the heart of the city. One familiar urban dweller is the pigeon. Long ago it was called a rock dove because it lived in the rocky cliffs along the coast of Europe. Today it flourishes all over the United States in the nooks and crannies of our cities. To the pigeon, the city may look like a wilderness full of high cliffs and deep canyons. The cliffs are buildings made of stone and brick and glass, and the canyons are windy avenues full of cars and people. Flying together in flocks, pigeons explore the city canyons, looking for food and spots to roost. And birds like to move into the towns because they like to be with us. It's not really because their habitats have been destroyed. A roost is a place where birds go for protection when they sleep and for shelter from the rain and cold. Pigeons roost under highway overpasses, on window ledges, under building archways, on top of roofs, and under eaves. Sometimes their roosts are so well hidden, you have to watch carefully to find them. Look up under the train trestle. Pigeons may be roosting along the dark beams. Watch the open windows of an abandoned building. Hundreds of pigeons could be living inside, flying in and out all day long. A nest is a place where birds lay their eggs and raise their chicks. Often it's in the same spot as the roost. Pigeons build a flimsy platform of sticks and twigs and debris up on a ledge or on a windowsill or in a flower pot out on a fire escape or in the curve of a storefront letter. Have you seen a bird nest in the city? Throughout the year, pigeons lay eggs and hatch their young. The female sits quietly on her clutch, and after 18 days, fuzzy chicks begin to appear. 5 weeks later, after their adult feathers are fully developed, the young pigeons fly away to find homes of their own. Sparrows and finches are successful city dwellers too. Introduced from England in 1870 to control insects, the house sparrow has chosen to live close to people all across the United States. The house finch was originally a West Coast native, but some caged birds were released on the East Coast in 1940. And the species quickly spread. Sparrows and finches don't migrate, so you can watch them at backyard feeders throughout the year, chirping and chattering as they pick up seeds. The little hollows in and around building ornaments and Gothic sculptures are favourite nesting spots for sparrows and finches. These cavity nesters can slip into the tiniest spaces. Some of their nests are visible and others are completely hidden from view. In the spring, you may see a small bird flying overhead with a twig in its beak. If you follow its flight, it will lead you to its nest. Watch the bird land and then disappear into a crevice or behind a stone curve. A few moments later it will pop out again, empty-beaked, and fly away to search for more nesting material. Sparrows and finches can even find spots to nest out in the middle of the busiest intersections. At the top of some streetlights, there's a small opening where the lamp meets the pole. If you look carefully, you may see a tiny house finch slip inside. Or watch the short open pipe at the top of some traffic light poles. A pair of house sparrows may be darting in and out, bringing food to their nestlings. Sometimes you can even spot a nest in the metal casing that surrounds a traffic light. Perhaps the heat of the bulb keeps the eggs warm. A tiled roof can house so many sparrows and finches, it looks a little like an apartment complex. All day long, the birds bring nesting material and food for their chicks into the small hidden cavities behind the tiles. When the chicks get too big for the nest, they play on top of the tiles, testing their wings before their first flight. Because the house wren eats only insects, it prefers to live in the suburbs, where there are more bugs. The wren's family name is Troglodytidae, which means creeper into holes. True to its name, the house wren can be found in the most unusual cavities. A work glove hanging on a line, a ball of twine, a teapot, an old shoe. Once the female wren chooses the cavity, She bolsters it with lots of nesting material to protect her eggs from intruders. Along with the usual grasses, twigs and feathers, wren's nests have been found to contain hairpins, tissues, Kleenex, nails, wire, shoe buckles, candy wrappers, Band-Aids, paper clips, and even dollar bills. The barn owl lives in the city too, but few people see it because it flies while everyone sleeps. All night long, its pale, ghostly form soars over the buildings as it hunts for rats and mice to bring to its young. The barn owl's eyes can see in the dark, and its ears can hear the tiniest scratching. Even its voice is suited to city life. When it cries out in the night, it sounds like brakes screeching. At daybreak, barn owls return to their nests to sleep. They like to live under train and highway overpasses, and inside old barns and steeples. Instead of building nests, they lay their eggs in flat, protected spots. As baby barn owls grow, they huddle together, hissing and slurping, as they wait for their parents to return with food. The nighthawk is a ground nesting bird. It looks for a level, open surface on which to lay its eggs. Because city ground is full of cars and people, the nighthawk often hatches its young up on flat, gravelled rooftops. If you look up on a warm summer night, you might see a nighthawk swooping low over the streetlights, sweeping hundreds of insects into its large gaping mouth. Or you might hear its call in the dark. Like the nighthawk, the killdeer makes no nest. It lays its eggs out in the open, in spots where the mottled eggshell pattern will be well camouflaged. In the city you might find killdeer eggs sitting on the gravel on the edge of a parking lot or next to a train track. Once, killdeer eggs were even found along the end line of a soccer field. The barn swallow used to nest under the natural overhangs of cliffs. Now its nest can be found under the eaves of a house or up in the rafters of a garage. Often attached to a vertical surface, the nest is a cup made of mud and clay, mixed with straw and grass, and lined with soft feathers. In the fall, chimney swifts migrate south in groups. You might see them just before sunset as they circle around and around a large chimney, all flying in the same direction. As the sky deepens, they begin to drop inside, like a long stream of smoke being drawn back down into the chimney. Inside, the swifts cluster like shingles on a root, clinging to the sooty walls with their sharp nails. During the winter, crows also flock together in large groups. They roost at night in the tops of trees in city parks. At dusk, one or two arrive first, perching on high branches and making a silky rustle with their wings. As the light fades, more crows appear and the clamour increases. They make rattling sounds, cat-like cries and metallic squeaks while they jostle for spots. As the darkness deepens, the calls gradually die down, until only an occasional gurgle is heard. Then the crow settles in for the night. Starlings, too, they gather in large groups, often roosting all along the ledges of a building. When the winter is coldest, they crowd together in crevices to keep warm. Over 100 starlings have been found huddled side by side in a cavity only 2 feet wide and 3 feet deep, a little bit like our house last winter. They made our roof space a completely giant starling house. There was so much pea straw mulch from Julia's garden, I can't believe how much was up there. In November, snowy owls migrate down from the Arctic tundra to spend the winter in northern cities. They seem to like the windswept environment of airport landing fields, perhaps because it reminds them of home. The owls roost out on the open ground, blending in with the snowy whiteness. At dusk, the snowy owls begin hunting for mice, rats, and rabbits. They fly slowly and silently, their heads turning from side to side, their eyes scanning the ground for movement. Sometimes snowy owls will crouch on a small mound of snow and wait, completely still, for prey to wander by. The sound of the jets doesn't seem to faze them at all. Cars and trucks lumber noisily over big city bridges, but underneath, hidden among the beams and girders, peregrine falcons have found a home. Sleekly built with powerful wings, the falcon is one of the fastest birds on earth. In the city it soars high above the bridges and buildings, hunting for pigeons and small birds flying below. When it spots its prey, the falcon folds its wings tight against its body and dives straight down at speeds of over 150 miles per hour. In cities all across the country, people are fascinated with the peregrine falcon and are doing what they can to make this noble bird feel welcome. In many cities, people set nesting boxes filled with gravel out on skyscraper ledges. The falcons seem to like these windy, rocky heights, for they return to the boxes early each spring to lay their eggs and raise their chicks, living on these high perches with no natural enemies and plenty of pigeons. The falcons are adapting well to urban life. So many birds make their homes in the midst of the city. Sparrows and finches, barn owls, snowy owls, swallows and swifts, nighthawks and killdeers, pigeons and wrens, crows, starlings and falcons. Each has found its own urban roost. And we've run out of time. But at home, an activity idea is story detective. Okay, you can get the adults, your mummy and daddy, to do a guessing game with you. You can tell the plot of a familiar story, hiding the names of the characters involved. For example, if you were describing a plot from Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you might say, "This book has a little girl with blonde hair" as the first clue. Then you can let your child take a guess. If her guess is not correct, you can add another clue. It's a guessing game. Thanks so much for listening. I love you and we'll see you at the next one. Bye.